Is it recording now? Okay. Okay, so can you see my screen again? Just to double confirm. My Sarah, can you see my screen?
Yes, madam. Can.
Thank you. Okay, so let's continue again. So the one that you already submit is chapter 2, right? And when I observe your chapter 2 report, some of you didn't follow the format. So I would to remind again, format give some marks. So please go to our website, FIP website, download the correct format. And you still have time to improve your chapter 2 before your supervisor give the evaluation. Okay. So before you start to have the draft for your full report, again we have a different format. Just go through the website again and download the full report of your chapter. Okay. So the one that I'm going to explain is chapter 1, chapter 3, chapter 4, and abstract. And Madam Farida will continue on the rubric and the important dates. Okay. First of all, okay. What is the FIP report? When the internet connection is unstable. Can you hear my voice? Is unstable here? Is it clearly audible?
Yes, madam.
So in your thesis, or we call your report FIP1, what you need to have inside your FIP full report is from abstract. Abstract is a one paragraph of the summary of your work, especially for FIP1. Okay, and then followed by chapter 1, it will be introduction. So in your introduction, you will explain the overview of your FIP, what is your objective, what is your brief method, and how you organize your report. The one that you already submit is literature review, chapter 2. So for now, you can just focus for chapter 3 and chapter 1. For chapter 2, wait for your supervisor feedback and then you can improve your literature review. Okay. Chapter 4 is optional. Result and discussion is optional for FIP1. It will explain what is your finding. Before that is a method. Method will relate to your objective. So let's say you have 3 objectives. So your method will be catered how you achieve your objective. Okay. And next one is about the conclusion and appendix if you have, and the list of reference. Okay. Let me have my pen here. Okay, next, same as before. So you have how many chapter inside your FIP1? You have 4 chapter, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The one that you didn't do yet is chapter 1, 3, and 4. So what we suggest is now you need to define your methodology. This is the main ingredients for this briefing today. How you are going to write your methodology, and after you finish your methodology, go back to how you're going to write your introduction, and it will end with the Gantt chart. For the result, again, FIP1 is optional. You don't need to have actually your result. But let's say you're a bit advanced and you have some preliminary result, especially for those who are doing coding or simulations, you can put here, and this will be some guide for your examiner to know how's your flow of your FIP1. Okay. And for your FIP2, which is you will take this next semester, most of the evaluation will be on your result and your conclusion. So FIP2 is the main ingredient is your results. Okay. Next, how you're going to start with the chapter 1. Okay, chapter 1 is the summary of your works. So this will be 1.1, 1.2, and continue. So your research background is when I explain to my student, always imagine like a triangle. It's an inverted triangle. How you going to start with your research background is, let's say your title is electronic nose for fruit ripeness monitoring. So you explain about why we need to detect the fruit ripeness first, the general application of your research. Okay, why this is important? Is it important to detect the fruit ripeness? What is the problem actually? Is it about the waste? Then after you explain, maybe you can add here a statistic from the government, or how much is the global waste. Okay, and if for example your research is about monitoring the home surveillance order distance for the COVID-19. So is it important? What is the statistic of the current COVID-19 in the world? So you can involve statistic either from if you relate on the sensor, it can be from the WHO or any type of statistic here to explain that your work is important. That's why you do this FYP. Okay. Next, we go to the problem statement. So this problem statement can be general problem statement and specific. When I say general problem statement means the global problem, means like just now I say it's like a global waste, that is the general problem. So the second level of the problem statement is what we call specific problem statement. Since you have done your chapter 2 previously, right? So you have a table. So let's say this is work 1, work 2, and work 3. You are going to identify, let's say work 1 using method A, work 2 using method B. So there is some limitation of work 1 and some limitation of work 2. So you're going to fill that gap. So that's what we call specific problem. Okay. And once you're already clear what is the problem, we are going to move with the objective. So maximum objective for FYP1 is 3. So we will guide you what is the keyword that you're going to use for your objective. And next is the scope of your research. So within 2 semesters, how many weeks? 14, right? 14 times 2, FYP1 and FYP2. You can't solve everything. So you need to have the scope. So let's say your FYP is about simulation based. So you need to highlight here, I'm only doing the simulation from part A and part B only. For experimental, it will not be covered in my FYP1. So this part is quite important for the examiner to see what is your scope. So they will not ask out of the box, means like the one that is not covered inside your FYP will not be asked by your examiner. Okay. And the last one is about your organization of your thesis, means chapter 1 is about what, 2, 3, and 4. So this is will be the subtopic of your chapter 1, 1.1, 1.2, and last one is 1.1.5. Okay. Usually when chapter 1, we write the last one. You need to write chapter 3 first, then you write chapter 1, and you can get the whole overview. Okay. So again, this is what I say. 1.1, 1.2 is problem statement. 1.3 is objective. Methodology here for chapter 1, you don't need to add the flowchart yet. It's a very general methods. Flowchart will be in chapter 3. And scope of research will be only 1 paragraph, and then report organization. Okay. So when you are going to write this chapter 1, because this is the gist of your FYP1. So in your mind, these 3 questions is important. Why you need to solve this problem? What is the solution, and how you're going to solve it? So this is what we call problem statement, objective, and method. So you can come out first with your problem statement objective, and once you have the first draft, we can discuss with your supervisor to guide you whether your problem statement objective is in a line or not. Okay. And this is 1.1, overview of background. This is the first part of your chapter 1. Okay, so inside your research background, what you need to write is actually, like I say, is a general overview of your topic. So for example, in this reference, he or she did about the optical device. So it start to explain where is the application of this optical device. Okay, so let's say here you have a very wide application, and give some example here: imaging system, machine. So this is how you start your research background, because the examiner may be not in your field, so you need to explain in like a layman words what is actually your topic is all about. Maybe your topic is too deep, means the name from your topic is very technical, and maybe the examiner not really knows what is actually that, and you can start with a very brief explanation where you're going to apply the algorithm, maybe in image processing, so you explain that. So this will be the first statement where you're going to explain on the general application. Okay, next, after the general applications, again, go back to the triangle. The first triangle is the application, And then you start to going to become focus and focus. So the next line is about you start to explain about the more second level of inside the optical that is about focal length. So inside the focal length here, there is some problem. So that problem lead with the word however. So this is what I say a general problem statement. However, the lens is only suitable for the application that require unchanged focal length. So there is some problem there. Okay, so that's why we say you guide the reader, you guide the examiner, for anybody who read your FIP report on your background of what you're going to study here. Okay, next level. Now we move to the second triangle that more deeper. Since you already done your chapter 2, right? I believe we have table for 5 or previous works. So you're going to check between these 5 methods, what are the strength, what are the limitation. So from that limitation, let's say the last column is about strength and limitation. Maybe method B here, there is some limitation. The accuracy is not that high than method A. Why? Because A, B, and C. So this is what we call specific problem statement. So inside the specific problem statement, this is the template where you're going to say, however, the previous work means like it can be either work 1, 2, or 3 can only focus on what here binary image, but it didn't test on 3D. So this is what we call research gap, the gap where you're going to try to solve. You may not be able to solve it, it's okay, but you able to identify what is the problem. FIP is not about solving the problem, big problem, but let's say you can just repeat the step also still okay. But for you to able to identify this gap is quite important for your chapter 2 actually. So if you can re-look back at your chapter 2 report, so this research problem statement is important. When we see inside the rubric later, there is some marks on do the student have find the research gap, the problem statement. So what we are going to see from the evaluator side, from the examiner side, is this one, the general problem and the specific problem. Okay. Okay, so next, again, this is another example of the overview of background. So this is much more simpler, where you're going to explain. This is an example of more technical title. You say electrical cell substrate impedance sensing. So start with application and explain what is the advantage of this technique. Let's say here, valuable tool for real-time monitoring. So what does this method do? In order to employ, you need to attach, profilate, and it's like explain application and also explain what is actually this, what is actually ECIS, okay, and how it works. And then you can go back to this general problem statement and the focus problem statement. Okay. Okay, next. Again, I already explained just now. Problem statement is very important for your FYP1 because when we do FYP1, we need some aim because you are going to create your adjective after this. In order for you to create your adjective, you need to really understand what is your problem. So from this problem, you're going to generate objective 1, objective 2, and objective 3. So this objective will be generated from the problem statement. So it mentions here clearly spell out what is unsolved. What is unsolved? So I will give you an example after this. It say here, previous researchers have used the edge slope width of the pixel intensity profile as the focus measure parameter. However, this focus is only viable for binary target autofocusing image. Where does the this problem comes from? After you have read your paper, the previous paper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like many times, and then you can find the gap. Let's say this is the strength, is like this, and this have some limitation. You relate the strength and limitation, and then you can get this sentence like, what is the gap between work 1, 2, and 3? And I'm trying to solve that one. So this is what we call specific problem statement. Okay. In your problem statement 1.2, please don't cite any reference. because this problem come from you. You are the one who summarized work 1 until work 5. What is the gap between work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? So solution can be in other place but not inside your problem statement. Your problem statement may be only one paragraph or two maximum. I don't write so lengthy. It can be like one page problem statement. You can start from general problem statement, move, guide the user to understand the problem, and then finally goes to the focus problem statement. Okay. For example one. Okay, template of the problems. How you're going to write your problem statement? Start. What is the current method? Ask yourself what is the current method? Where you can find this current method from your chapter 2. Let's say what one say here. The current method is using is expensive and bulky. So this is the problem. Maybe the commercial impedance measurement is expensive. Efforts have been made to make it portable. The problem is when it is bulky, it cannot be real time. So it need to be portable. So in order it to be portable, therefore, this will become your objective. Therefore, in this work will focus on the producing a low cost impedance that is actually portable. The low cost is trying to solve the expensive problem. Low cost means it maybe becomes smaller and not bulky and easy to move from one to another. Okay. And it say here again, the product must be able to perform like what we have inside the current technique. So when you write a problem statement, conclude your problem statement with a general objective. So let's say paragraph one is general problem statement. Paragraph 2 is a specific problem statement. Paragraph 3 is objective. Okay. Okay, I'll show you more example here. So if you see this example here, sorry for a very small handwriting. I just snapshot this morning. Okay, so start with general problem statement, goes to specific. In every subchapter, always imagine like a triangle. Start from general and move to small, because as I mentioned, the user may not be an expert in your topic. So you're going to guide him or her, the examiner, to understand the whole understand of your report. Okay, so it say, for example, like this. It say here, statement number 1, it always say about current technique. Current technique use what? Current technique use image processing or a big machine that is called GCMS. This topic is about eNose to detect food ripeness using machine learning. Okay, so the student need to find out what is the current technique to detect fruit ripeness. You ask yourself, oh, the current technique, maybe they use GCMS, the machine, there where it can detect some gases. Okay. However, what is the problem with this machine? It need technical to operate and it also not portable. So this may be a general problem statement. It's expensive. You come out with the problem. So this problem may not be from the paper. You can just read news or any website. What is the current technique? Because we call this general, right? Okay. Secondly, say it is not accurate and some sort such as need to destructive technique. So this is another problem. Okay. So it goes to here in more specific. First is the technique image processing, and then focus on the GCMS. What is another problem? It goes more on the specific problem statement where it starts talking about destructive. So when you use this machine, you need to damage the fruits and it cannot be used anymore. It's a waste, right? So by having your technique, so the last paragraph, so this is your problem statement, general problem statement, specific, and this come your general objective. Therefore, this project aims to what? To develop system where you will not it's a not destructive technique where you can just release your food and it will emit some gases and you can detect it. It is a non-destructive technique. So it might solve the issue above where you are saying the problem statement. Okay, until now, is it clear? Do you have any question?
I'm clear, madam.
Okay, so can I proceed? Okay. Okay, now after you're done with your problem statement, okay, you already mentioned just now the general objective, right? So now we are going to 1.3. If we see 1.1, 1.2, there is some linkage. It's not a block. You are going to relate 1.1 and then you move the problem statement. You mention a bit about your objective and then 1.3 you specify your objective. So what is objective? Is one that you can measure. What is the output that you're going to have? It's like you have every subject that you take, you have learning outcome, program outcome, and learning outcome, right? So let's say FIP, we have 5 learning outcomes. Same with your topic of your FIP, you need to clear what is the outcome of your FIP. So when when you are clear with your objective, you can guide you what is your methodology. It can get what you need to achieve and how you're going to achieve it. Okay. Okay. In order to you to write objective, there is some keywords here. So it's not any keyword. So you can use the keyword that I list or other keywords that are specified. The keyword need to be technical. Let's say to investigate, to analyze what, to design, to develop. Also can be to develop, to simulate, to predict. So this is the keyword that are mostly used for objective, to describe. So you need to use this keyword when you write the objective. Okay. So I give you some examples. Okay, here is the example of the good objective. So it can either you can use determine, but I think this is not a strong. You can say to investigate. It's much more stronger word. The best focus measure parameter. To develop. So from the examiner point of view, they want to see this keyword. To study, you can also use, but I recommend you to make a stronger word to investigate. So it much more technical as an engineering aspect. To investigate, what you want to investigate, the effectiveness of what, as what, right? And to if you are doing algorithm, you say to develop an algorithm for what? For the high measurement, blah blah blah. Okay, so the sentence need to be long. The right one here is not a good objective. When you just say to develop C code. C code for what? To apply Monte Carlo method in optimization. This sentence seems hanging, right? So optimization for what? You need to explain. And let's say you say to measure what? For what parameter? Sensitivity, selectivity. Okay. So short keyword objective like this is not recommended. Your sentence need to be complete. What you're going to develop, how you're going to measure, and specify it. Okay. Don't put 2 objective in one. Maximum objective, not maximum. Recommended objective for FIP1 is only 3 objective. The one that you can achieve. The one that you cannot achieve, you can write inside the research scope. Let's say the one that is out of your box, right? So don't write inside objective. Make sure your objective is the one that you can achieve within these 2 semesters. So you can draft this one first and then show to your supervisor whether these objectives can be achieved or not. That's where the communication comes. Okay. So here I just snapshot you another examples of objective. Let's say here you say to design what you want to design, the prototype. If your nature of your FIP is about prototype, you can use like this, to design a prototype of what, and then to investigate. Well, investigate here means that you are going to do literature, right? Investigate. What is the key parameter? So let's say you already find the parameter 1, 2, the length, maybe the thickness. So these 3 parameter will guide you to the method. And then the last one is to fabricate. This is experimental nature of FIP. Okay. And another example is again here to develop the system. So this is a general objective, and then you are going to analyze what is the component inside the fruit. And the last one, because this about the classification, if you are doing machine learning to classify your topic, so your objective need to have to classify the rightness. How you can know what is the keyword that you're going to write? So go back to your title. What is your title? So you have inside your title, you have, let's say, minimum 3 keywords. So keywords, that keyword will guide you to write your objective. Okay. Another example is to design, characterize, and evaluate. So this is not the limitation of the keywords. You can use other keywords depend on the nature of your FIP. So different FIP nature, we have one we do simulation, another one is experimental or algorithm. Some of you will do algorithm or coding, right? And the last one maybe simulation, experiment, and algorithm. Yeah, maybe or fabrication. Okay. So it depends on the nature of your FYP, or you're going to do prototype. So different FYP nature will have different type of objective. Okay. Okay. Next, after objective 1.4 is about methodology. So inside your methodology here, don't put flowchart. Flowchart is in chapter 3. Here is a very general methodology. You can use this example. Initially, what you need to do, then, and finally. So how you can come up with this? Draft your full flow chart first, and then you can extract the information there to come up with this paragraph. Okay. 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 Next, 1.5 is about the scope of research. Okay, as I mentioned before, this is important. Usually the examiner will not ask you out of the box when you write this one clearly. So let's say your example here is about, this is not electrical example, it's about milling process. Okay, it say here the study is limited to the metal surface that are machined using milling process. The one that is not metal surface maybe will not be covered inside your FIP. So you're going to limit. You are the one who will limit your FIP. Okay, this please discuss this with your supervisor. So let's say you are doing a sensor. So my scope of research is only doing simulation or modeling. So experimental base will not be covered inside my FIP. So you explain like that. Okay. Okay, and the conclusion of your chapter 1 is about report organization. So you just explain briefly what you're going to explain chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is just a guideline. Okay, and notes, any preliminary result. Okay, for those who already start to work on your coding, for example, algorithm or whatever your prototype. So if you have some result, preliminary, you can put inside your FYP1 report, but don't put a new chapter. It will be under chapter 3. Okay, but again, this one is optional. So you have it, it's a bonus. But if you don't have it, it's okay. This will not be inside the rubrics. Okay. Okay. Until now, do you have any question for chapter 1? Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, madam.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Madam Farida, you want to add anything? Chapter 1? Okay, then proceed.
Sorry, it's okay.
Proceed, Okay. Okay, so chapter 3. Chapter 3 is about methodology. So this is the core of this FIP in the last part. Okay. So what is actually methodology? You need to plan. You need to plan your methods before you start to write. So before that, in chapter 1, you already clear what is your problem statement, how you can get your problem statement from the table, right? You know, work 1 has this strength, this work have some limitation, and then you come out with your problem statement. And then you also already clear about the objective. You know your outcome, your FIP outcome, what you are going to achieve. From there, you are going to decide your method. Okay, so the methods, so it depends on the nature of research. Again, if you are doing prototype, you need hardware and software. If you are just doing simulation, all will be only simulation based. You're going to do any software, let's say for antenna using CST, or for using console or any software, or using machine learning, you need to know how to use Python or all of that, right? And then that is the hardware and software. Next, you need to plan which method you need to use. So implementation, and the last one is what we call the technique. So let's say you have like machine learning, right? You have a lot of technique, okay, and whatsoever. So A, B, C, D. So which technique that you're going to start? Are you going to use artificial neural network, or which one is more suitable? How are you going to decide that? Let's go back to your chapter 2. Decide what have mostly used by previous work. Don't decide what is not inside the previous work. That will be a lot of challenge. So you can start first whatever have been done. You just repeat the same, and then if you still have time, you can explore furthermore. Okay. So present your proposed this methodology with technique and procedure. So we will see the flow after this. Okay. Planning is important. When we're talking about method, you are engineering FIP, right? So you need to have data. Whatever topic that you are taking, the data is important. Although you are doing prototype, you need to have the data. So plan your data. So let's say you are doing a sensor. So define what is the reliability of the sensor. Is it sensitive enough? So present the data need to present in a graph. So that's what we say about analysis, where you're going to validate. So it's not just when you say prototype, let's say using Arduino, right? It's not just a snapshot of your Arduino, and then if you use mobile apps using Blink, and then it's not just a snapshot of your Blink, but you need to have the data. Engineering FIP, we need to have some graph at least, or a data to validate whether your proposed method is okay or not. Okay. And planning is important for you to predict what is data. So that data need to be analyzed for you for the validation. In order for it to analyze, you need some setup. Setup can be either simulation, or if you do experiment, how are you going to characterize that one, right? How are you going to implement? So plan your method starting with the which hardware, which software, implementation, what is the setup, and how you're going to validate. So validation is important for any nature of your research. Okay. Okay. So again, this one is about just a flow chart. So when you're talking about method, you need to have a flow chart. So I will show you some example of the flow chart after this. Okay. First, just now you are already decide generally, right? Planning, implementing, and analysis. So now it's already in your mind. So now you are going to represent it in terms of outline. Same with chapter 2, you have some outline. And chapter 3 also you have outline. How you're going to start the method. So subdivide. So you need to subdivide whether your method, this is example, maybe you do the experimental FIP, let's say you do antenna. What is the material used? What is the substrate? What is the electrode? Experimental setup, how you're going to measure the antenna? Are you going to use vector network analyzer, or you're going to use impedance analyzer? And how is the setups looks like? What is the input? What is the output? And if you use another type of research, you need an algorithm, right? So you need to explain in detail what is your algorithm from first step until next step. What happened after this and after that. In your method, please be detailed as possible for you to guide the examiner or the reader on how you're going to prepare your data, how you're going to implement your result. Okay. Okay. So we would like to suggest for you, before you start to write, always prepare an outline. So the outline will be, this is example, again, the same topic, INOS for fruit ripeness monitoring. Okay. Project methodology here is what we call flowchart. I will show after this flowchart. Once you already decide your flowchart, you already have in your mind what you're going to propose. What is the block diagram number A, and then next you go to what, and then the third one will go to what. Okay, that's what we call proposed design. And then inside this proposed design, let's say you have block A is what we call sensing system, part B is DAQ, data acquisition, and part C is the data analysis. The whole here is actually what we call proposed design. So from your proposed design, you go to subsection 3.4, And then another subsection 3.5 and 3.6 is data analysis. Okay, so have in your mind first draft what is the block diagram of my proposed design, and then you're going to start to explain in detail what is actually inside the sensor system, what is actually inside the AQ, what software that you're going to use, what hardware that you're going to use, and then the data analysis. Are you going to use KN, what method, and which what is the hardware cost estimation, and so on. Okay, so in that, then you can have the idea on what you are going to write in each of the subchapter. So we really recommend you prepare first your own outline. You can see the previous FYP report depend on your nature of your FYP, and then you can have the idea. So this is another example, energy harvesting from body heat. So here it say about this is what we call proposed design. So inside your proposed design, you have circuit diagram and block diagram, and then how you're going to evaluate it. So it start with a survey and what is the hardware and software. Another example. And the third example is about software source code simulation. So it is a software title. So process model here is about what we call the proposed design, and 3.3 proposed plagiarism detection. What is actually inside here? So inside here you have here code processing, back end and front end. And here you go where you're going to analyze. Remember just now you have planning, implementation and analyze. So what we are going to bring inside your FYP2 and all the graph or any result will be from this one, software testing. Okay. And this is another example. Let's say your nature is about prototype. So this is an example of prototype. So you have proposed design, what is the hardware, what is the software, and then so on. Okay. So let's go to 3.1. Okay, inside your 3.1 overview, don't write a very lengthy overview. It's just about overview of the chapter actually. What you're going to explain inside your chapter, okay? And 3.2 is the flowchart. Okay, this flowchart is a bit lengthy. Usually this one is for FIP2. For FP1, what I want to highlight here is when you want to come out with your flowchart, always go back to your objective. So let's say here we have three objectives. First is to investigate. Second is to synthesis and characterize. The third one is to measure and evaluate. So within these three objectives, you are going to come up with a flowchart. Some part of your flowchart will be objective 1. The middle one here is for objective 2 and 3. And the last one will be objective 3. So when you design your flowchart, go back to your objective. So let's say first write objective 1, investigate. Means how you're going to do that. Methodology is about how. Oh, I need to do literature review. Next, to synthesize and characterize. How are you going to do that? I need to synthesize, characterize, and I need to confirm, and I need to measure. And the third one is to measure and evaluate. How you're going to measure is the third flow of the third flow chart. Okay, so I'll show you another example. So instead of going like this, you can also do like this. Again, here is about here will be literature review, and then you're going to provide the training, develop the system. So this is objective 1. How you're going to classify is about provide training to analysis, extract data, and get expected results. So this will be objective 3. So you can label it. Which one is objective 1, which one is objective 2, which one is objective. So this is just a recommendation. You can discuss with your supervisor. So again, inside your flowchart, it is quite important for you to have this what we call diamond box. So doing FIP is not it's not a one directional way. There's some cases when you have some failure here, right? You need to go back. So this flowchart will explain. So means first, let's say you do characterization and you can't confirm whether this characterization is okay or not. So you need to go back to characterize or to synthesis. Same here when you measure, it can't achieve what the literature want, what is expected. Let's say you do antenna, you get it positive, right? But suddenly you get negative, something wrong with the design maybe. So you need to go back, measure again. So it can be 1 or 2 diamond box, but it need to be there. It cannot be like one way, one directional flow chart. There must be, this is what you call engineering process. There must be some feedback loop. When you are stuck, you need to go back. Okay. So when you draft your flow chart, go back to your objective. Just now you're already clear with your objective. So it will guide you how you are going to write your flow chart. And there is 3.2. Okay, now you're already clear with your flow chart. You are going to come up with your proposed system. So this is an example of a proximity sensor. So it start with the block diagram number 1, sensor. Block diagram number 2 is about gateway. Now you're doing the IoT, right? So block diagram number 3 is about the internet. So when you're talking about proposed system, assist with a diagram. So diagram is important. For examiner side, it's not about writing, but when you present diagram in a proper way, it will give a positive impact to the examiner. So, oh, the student is clear what he or she want to do. Another example, also this is also a block diagram. So we have 4 block diagram here. First is sensing stage, and this is the VOC detection, and this is the DAQ, and then the last one is the data analysis. And if you can conclude your output with what you're going to predict, let's say here it will display some graph or whatsoever, or you're going to have the snapshot. If you use the source code similarity checker, there is some GUI here, what you're going to expect at the end of your FIP2, right? So assist this with a diagram, a beautiful diagram, a professional diagram, where you can draw it, you can get this idea from the literature, how they represent their block diagram of the proposed structure. So inside the proposed structure, say about you need to do when you put your figure, always cite in the text, means that this figure illustrated what figure 3 shows. Figure, not, don't just put figure without explain. You need to explain inside the text. Okay, and this is just some tips. Okay, when you include graphs or schematic, you need to explain, subdivide. Okay, and if you do some algorithm, so this is what we call specific flow chart, where how you're going to structure your codes. So this is what we call specific flow chart. So let's say for those who are doing Arduino or any Raspberry Pi, so you can come up with your flow chart like this. Okay, and make sure all your figures need to be captioned properly. So let's say you have 4 figures here. So you need to rename A, B, C, D properly, and write. You don't write above, left down. Okay. So let's say you are taking this from the reference, always cite. We like to respect for those who already published. So you're going to cite it. If you redraw it, so you don't need to cite. So when we say the flow chart, right? So here is about preparation. Instead of you just write your flow chart also you can come up with some sort of figure. So here it explains how the experiment works. So if you can, for those who are doing experiment, so instead of just write up acetic acid will be diluted inside the water, you can represent this in terms of figure like this. So it's a visual presentation, give more impact compared to the write up, right? So you need more effort, but at the end, what you do, you have done your best, inshallah. Okay. Again, I say here, this is example of flowchart. So this is not when you write a diamond, you need to write here yes and no. Yes, so this is not here is not a complete one. So here yes, no, missing there. And here in this example, he or she didn't explain even what is this flowchart about. So you need to explain inside your text. Figure 7 shows the flowchart, how your experiment will start. Okay, and when you write the word inside, need to be a complete word. Complete word, data sent to. Don't say microcontroller, data sent to what? What is the microcontroller that you choose, the hardware that you choose for your flowchart. So as I said, chapter 3 you need to be a bit detailed for you to be clear what you are going to do in FIP2. So if you are already clear earlier, So you can start your FI2 with a more clearer understanding, right? Okay. For the result is optional again, but if you have some result, let's say you have done your PSPI circuits or you have done some measurement inside the lab and have some preliminary results, you can present it inside your FIP1. When you present your result in FIP1, for example, when you do coding, it's not just place it without explain. So explain line by line. Okay, this is about what on, and this is about, is this string or what? So you can put your coding here, but don't just put without explaining. Please label your coding. Okay, if your result is in terms of graph, so don't just put a blank graph without explaining what is y, what is x, what is this point is all about. No, you need, and if you have some peak somewhere, you need to explain what is this peak is about, which frequency. So let's say here is series resonant, parallel resonant. So this is a proper way for you to present your results. So let's say here you have inconsistency somewhere, explain on top of you. How can you know in your what result that you need to present? So go back to chapter 2. You have, I believe you have a lot of paper now, right? So choose only one paper. That paper we call benchmark paper. The one that you are trying to follow what have been done. So you can see how they present their result. So you try to get almost the same result and see how they present it properly. Okay. Okay, for chapter 3, is it clear? Can I proceed, Hamizah?
Yes, please.
Okay. Chapter 4, last part of your FYP. Okay, so this is just a short chapter. You conclude it. So this is just a template. What is the method? What is the objective? And then what you need to do in FYP2. Okay, so this is very short chapter. And your chapter 4 with a Gantt chart. So you place a Gantt chart for FYP1. So this is an example of Gantt chart. There are many tools to draw the Gantt chart. The simplest one is just use Excel, or you can use another online tools for drawing your Gantt chart. So start with you select your title, and then you do your literature, right? Submission of your literature, and here is all about your method, and then your submission. So it's a total of 14 weeks. 14 weeks, okay. Okay, after you have done all of this, the last one is about your abstract. So for FYP1 report, there is some marks also on the abstract. So what is abstract? So when you read the paper, any research paper that you have read before, there is one paragraph before you start to read the introduction, right? So this is what we call an abstract. Abstract is a one paragraph, not more than 300 words. It's a very compact paragraph to explain the whole summary of your FYP. So do you need to read this first? No. Once you already understand what is your problem, what is your objective, what is your method clearly in detail, and then you are going to summarize this to become one sentence, and one sentence, and you come up with a very compact paragraph of abstract. So please keep this right up until the end. So I'll show to you what is the structure of the abstract. Okay, there are only 300 words and less. So you need to be very direct, very concise on your write up. So there are only 6 components inside your abstract. The first one is the application. Each of these sub sentence you already write it actually inside your chapter 1. So chapter 1 is a bit lengthy, right? So you're going to comprise all the lengthy word become only you at least one sentence. So this is application of your research or motivation. Why you want to do this FIP? What is the problem? So problem statement, you can start with a general problem statement. General problem statement will lead to your motivation, and then follow with the specific problem statement. After you have clear with the problem statement, objective, one sentence. So no need to write 3 objective. Summarize that 3 objective become 1. Okay. And then your method will be just explain what is this let's say you do simulation, what is the software, what is the parameter that you're going to check. Let's say you're going to you do antenna, you're going to find the gain, right? Gain. And if we have result, so number 5 is optional. Explain your result in one sentence again and conclude it. Conclude your abstract. So I'll show you, this is an example of an abstract. Okay, we will start with motivation. So your motivation, the topic here is about vibration-based energy harvester. What is energy harvester? Is we the energy comes from either the wind, the solar, and here it comes from the vibration, So we start with the motivation. So inside this motivation, you know that vibration energy harvester become popular and become growing demand due to what? Because we need portable, long-lasting, and easily recharged source of power. So this become the motivation. Okay, but what is the problem? The problem, current technique, they use batteries. Batteries is hazardous, and you can use this template. It's an acceptable solution. When you write problem statement, they have many templates, and then you can say however, or you can use this template. Usage of blah 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 is an unacceptable solution. Why? Because it is bulky and high cost, for example. Okay, one sentence only. Next, what is the solution for that? The solution is piezoelectric. Piezoelectric is one material that can convert vibration to voltage. So it provide the solution. So it say here a perfect candidate for this vibration energy harvester. Why? You highlight the advantage because maybe it is high efficiency and easily fabricated. Okay. And here will be your objective. This work, so we can use this template. This work present what? It goes to the, now this, they combine three objective become one. Objective number 1 is design, objective number 2 is simulate, maybe objective number 2 is fabricate. So they combine, it become one sentence. Design what? MEMS piezo energy harvesters using what? Using some material here. Okay, and methods. For the methods where you're going to have another sentence, so this is start with simulations, and then it will go to the experimental results. And here result is optional. So if you have some result, you put here. If no, you can just ignore. And don't hang it there. Go to the conclusion. What is the function of your proposed design? So your proposal can be used at where? At the gas turbine to solve this problem, for example. So conclude it nicely. So it is less than 300 words. So don't write it early. So once you already finish everything, slowly draft your abstract. So this is another example. Also the same, you can go through by yourself. Okay, I have 3 examples here. But the guide here is this 5. Number 1, application, problem statement, objective, method, and conclusion. Okay. Okay, so I think that's all from me. Madam Farida.
Thank you, Dr. Aliza. Can you hear me clearly, Dr. Aliza?
Yes.
Okay, please ignore the background. I don't have a very nice background back then. Okay, okay, so thank you, Dr. Aliza, for a very nice explanation, a very detailed and explicit example of what you should have in your FLP1 report. So I'm just going to brief you what how are you going to assess for your full report. So first, okay, this is the okay. You can proceed the slide. Okay, okay. So just recall what the assessment method, the assessment weightage here. So for the supervisor, we have 50% of total assessment and 70% are coming from the examiner, and 40% is for the report evaluation. Okay, okay. So for the report, okay, and for this, the main concern here is PO1, PO2, and you will also be assessed in for your PO9, which is the communication. So PO1 and PO2 will always be the main the main course for your this thing for your FIP. So engineering knowledge and also the problem analysis. Okay, let's take a look how we are going to assess your report. Okay, so the main content is PO1 and PO2 here. Okay, so for the report assessment is going to be from the supervisor evaluation and also for the examiner evaluation. The supervisor for the semester works. So the report content here may be only a little bit on PO9 maybe and PO2 for the supervisor evaluation. But the main assessment for your report will be from the examiner lah, because it will be examiner will evaluate all this PO, PO1, the engineering knowledge, PO2 the problem analysis, and PO4 the investigation, which is the research methodology chapter, and also PO9. So 40% from the examiner, which is the final report. Okay, let's take a look on the rubrics. Okay, so the first, supervisor, how your supervisor are going to evaluate you. Okay, and first here is the PO2, the problem analysis. Okay, full report. Take a look at the assessment element there. Okay, the performance criteria, full report. So provide explanation based on engineering fundamental. So how do you demonstrate, whether you demonstrate the excellent elaboration of previous work or not, and then demonstrate excellent critical. So you need to be critical in writing your literature review chapter to get this outstanding marks. Okay, and then that's for the PO2 for the semester works, and then for the PO9 for the semester works by supervisor. Okay, PO9 is regarding the communication. How do you communicate in terms of the oral communication and also in terms of the writing communication. Okay, PO9 following instruction and asking question. So this element is not directly from the report. Okay, the one from the report is the second element, which is overall report content written communication. So this is how you are going to be evaluate. Okay, overall report content. How you write your final report. Writing information in interesting way and flows very well. Provide strong, clear, convincing argument. Provide excellent evidence to support your argument. So that will be the outstanding marks for your writing communication there. Okay, so this is for the PO9. And then supervisor will also evaluate you on PO8, which is the ethics. Okay, adab, your how do you apply your ethics with Islamic values and commit to responsibility and norms of professional engineering. So your adab and attitude, your how do you use other works, other people's works, and how do you cite your work in your FFP. Okay, and ownership, project management. Okay, how do you own your project? Is it coming from all from your supervisor, or how to what extent the ownership of the project is coming from you? So this will be evaluated, and the meeting and the frequency of the meeting. Okay, so I think that's all for the evaluation from the supervisor. And okay, and then from the examiner, this is 40%. Okay, examiner will directly assess your full report, the content of your report. Okay, so and the first one is the PO1, as I mentioned before this, the engineering knowledge. So this will be evaluated. So you with the performance criteria for the PO1 literature review. So the examiner will check how you write your literature review, the methodology in terms of the engineering knowledge, how you apply the engineering application, how do you put the we call that the principle, the mechanism of how are you going to work with your proposed method. Okay, so all the application, the engineering application, the equation, okay, and the design, how do you explain that? Okay, so that will be your engineering engineering application for PO1. And then PO2 regarding the problem analysis, this is coming from your literature review, your problem statement, your introduction. So introduction and problem statement. They demonstrate clear understanding on the topic by giving excellent explanation. So how do you explain? So the examiner will check this, whether you understand your project or not. Okay, how do you analyze? How do you interpret the problem in your report. Okay, a valid, clear, and concise problem statement. So you need to present a valid, clear, and concise problem statement in your report. Okay, and then for the second element of PO2 is the literature review. So the examiner will go back to your literature review. Okay, although before this you already submit your chapter, right? And for the final report, we want you to review, revise, do revision based on the comment from your supervisor, what need to be improved. But so do correction based on the comment from your supervisor, because the examiner will are going to evaluate this, the literature review. So please do this. Okay, evaluate information and sources critically. Okay, not a good literature review is less than 50% of your choice of your reference is relevant. So half of the reference is not relevant, so this is not good. Okay, the good evaluation for the literature review is all choice of reference is relevant and the finding is extracted from your reference relevantly, and you compare, you contrast is and connected each other to each other fluently, and demonstrate. So you need to present your critical thinking skill, how you synthesize what you got from the literature in your literature review chapter. So for this is for the PO2. Okay, and then the next for PO2 element is the synthesize information and general research gap. So from what you have found from the literature, and how do you get the problem? What are the research gap there? If you okay, and how do you synthesize the information? So able to synthesize the knowledge and information from a variety of resources, and how do you relate them to your topic, and whether you can come up with the proper conclusion to relate the conclusion to formulate. So from the conclusion of what you found from the problem from the literature, and how are you going to come up with your own methodology? So problem statement and also the methodology based on the literature review. So this is for the PO2. And next for the full report, the examiner will look at the investigation PO4. This is mainly from the methodology chapter 3. Okay, so there are two main components from that will be evaluated, which is how you develop the framework, the general flow for your research lah, for your study. So how do you start your study? What are the process to conduct the research, and how do you evaluate, and then how you end your research. So this is the framework that you are going to propose in your methodology chapter. Okay, select and develop a clear research methodology or theoretical framework. Okay, so this is a good evaluation. And the second element for this PO4 is technique and procedure. So for each of the framework that you propose in your methodology chapter, how do you come up with the techniques? So if the technique is proper, what are the procedure is going to be taken? Okay, how are you going to conduct all the technique? How are you going to implement the technique, procedure? What are the design, the setting for your technique and procedure? So perfectly address the technique and procedure used. Okay, you need to be the technique need to be organized, clear, and concise. Okay, you need to articulate that in very concise way. Okay, when you present your methodology. And then PO9. So PO9. Okay, so the abstract that Madam Aliza explained before this. So abstract is in PO will be evaluated in PO9. So how do you write your abstract? Okay, is all the information is already did you put all the required information in your abstract? So all important information is perfectly organized and summarized, provide a perfect understanding on what your project is about. So that is a good abstract lah. Okay, and then what are the objectives, and then the next okay, the format of the report. So you will be also evaluate in terms of whether you follow the format given or not, and coherence of your writing, how you write your discussion, how you the continuation of your writing, of your story, how you tell your story. Okay, whether there is a continuation or okay, it cannot be like block separate block. So it should be your writing should be a continuation of your from the first part, second part, third part. So Okay, so all of that will be evaluated. Okay, next citation and reference. So this is the same lah what you have been doing for your chapter 2 for the literature review chapter. Okay, so you use IEEE format or APA format. It depends on your, please follow your supervisor preference. And okay, and for the final report, we need you to your similarity index should be not more than 30% for the final report. So please make sure this, or if you exceed this similarity index, so maybe some marks will be deducted from your final grade. Okay, so the less than 50%, Turnitin for the final report. Okay, similarly, you need to snapshot your Turnitin result and paste it at the page 1 for full report. Okay, so this is and how to submit. Okay, the deadline for this final report will be on 8th of June. Okay, this will be on Tuesday. Please take note on this, Tuesday and 5 p.m. Don't later say that you didn't realize that the deadline is at 5 p.m. not 12 p.m. No, we are going to, okay, so we set this at 5 p.m. not 12 midnight. Okay, so please take note on this. Okay, actually we do some revision regarding the deadline, but later on I am going to revisit that. Okay, and before submit, you need to do this, rename your file. Okay, you should have your full name, the metric number, and also the program. So your name, your metric number, and your program, and submit in PDF file. Okay, and for the submission, similar with your chapter 2 submission, you need to submit 2 files to Google Classroom. Okay, just upload your PDF file there. So you need to submit your FLP1 report, your full report in PDF version. And the second file is the Turnitin full report. Okay, so we are going to open the submission here. So just submit your file in through the Google Classroom later. Okay, so that's for the report. Important dates. Okay, so we do have some revision regarding the deadline. Kita tak keluar oh, okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so we are in midnight. Okay, briefing 3 research methodology. Okay, please kindly be informed here that actually your next submission is not the full report. The full report still will be on 8th of June. But after this, you are going to submit your recorded presentation first. So, so for now, you just have to you write your full report, and then after you have decide what should be the content for the methodology, how are you going to present what your chapter 1, then the summary content you are going to put in your slide and record your video presentation, because you need to submit your video presentation by 28th of May. Okay, later on we are going to have, before the submission of your video presentation, we are going to have another briefing after this, maybe on week 11, inshallah, we are going to announce later. Okay, how you need the guideline for the presentation, and later on we are going to give the briefing on that. Okay, so just prepare your final report first, and then from there you are going to extract what are the important elements that you should include in your presentation, record your presentation. Okay, so this is basically the flow, because when after you submit your video presentation, we are going to have what is the flow, the next slide. Okay, so briefing 2 literature review, we already finished that. Okay, briefing 3 methodology here, prepare chapter 3 methodology, chapter 1. Okay, and then you are going to record your presentation first after you have prepare your chapter methodology and chapter 1 introduction. Okay, so you are going to prepare the presentation, submit. We are going to share the submission link after this. And after your submission of the video presentation, you will have the Q&A session. So during this session, we are going to have maybe in Gmeet, okay, with the examiner. Then examiner are going to give their feedback and will ask the question. So based on the feedback from the examiner, you are going to improve your final report before you submit. Before you do the submission for your final report. So you have to submit the video first, get the feedback from the examiner, from the Q&A session, and then you are going to improve based on the comment and based on the feedback given from the examiner, and you are going to submit your full report. Okay, and each form. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, just remember that the important information regarding FFP1 you can all of this you can find in our FFP1 website. Here. I think that's all from me.
Okay, thank you, Farida. So, is there any question? Any question from the class before we finish? Is the deadline clear?
Yeah, we hope you understand the timeline here.
Clear, right? Okay. So, before we finish, I guess I know FIP1 you have a lot of responsibilities, and on top of that you need to read and write. FIP1 is actually a big responsibilities. So although just now Madam Farida said, oh, today is 30 April, right? We need to submit when? June. What is the deadline just now?
8th of June.
8th of June, like a long way to go, right? So I really recommend you don't wait until last minute. So the word like istiqomah, right? You do it bit by bit. So let's say at least spend 1 or 2 hours for FIP, and please communicate with your supervisor at least not once a week, maybe 2 week once. So don't wait your supervisor to message you. You need to be proactive. So because you are the one who own your FIP. So do it now. Don't wait until the last minute. Although the deadline is until the end of the semester, you have plenty of time. So I really suggest you, because you can't give the best if you do it last minute, because this is not the skill that you can just grab in one day. This is a skill that for the whole semester, this is a skill that you're going to bring, the writing skill, the reading skill, where you're going to bring until when you work outside. Okay, so before we finish, since today is Ramadan, right? So let's reflect this surah Al-Alaq. Adil, can you read it? One ayah, Adil? Brother Adil? Or any volunteers, can you read the ayah, please? Any volunteers? Can I have? This is a Ramadan. You have a for those who are volunteer, we will pray that you get A's for your FIP, inshallah. Any volunteers? Hambali? Before we finish our session.
Yes, madam. Did you call me?
Yeah. Can you read this ayah?
Yeah, sure. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم.
Thank you, Adil, for your volunteering. Okay, the meaning is read, right? In the name of your Lord who has created all that exists, who's created man from God. Again, Allah say read. 2 times Allah say read. And your Lord is the most generous, who has taught the writing by the pen and has taught the man that which he knew not. So when you do your FIP, it's all about reading and writing. And even this is the first ayah that Allah sent to Prophet yesterday, right? Nuzul Quran, 17 Ramadan. So let's reflect this ayah, relate this with your FIP. When talking about FIP, it's not only for you do your FIP, not only for the sake for you to graduate. You connect it, try to connect the knowledge it with the what Allah has created. So when you read, I know this is a struggle for you to read, to understand, and then read again, not only one paper, like I believe you have downloaded like more than 30, 50 paper inside your Mendeley. So you don't have time to read, but Allah say read and read. So from that reading where you can get the knowledge. So that knowledge, always reading your intention when you read, and then after you read and Allah continue that. It's not only reading. You can't complete the circle of knowledge by only read. And Allah say, who has taught by writing, the writing by the pen. Not only reading, then you stop. Then you need to write. So that's what FIP is all about. After you read, you want to see whether you already understand or not. You need to write your report. Not only by writing, just giving one day and then you just submit. No, when Allah say write, it means that you want to see that whether you really understand. So it say here, when you write, you really understand, and then you preserve that knowledge. Imagine the paper that you read, they didn't write it. How can the knowledge be passed from one to one, right? We are in the whole world. How can the knowledge from China be passed to Malaysia? Only by the person who the author write it, and then the knowledge will be passed. So imagine if when you do your FYP, you write, and then maybe your output will be your supervisor will publish it, and someone in outside of the world, you don't know where, read your paper. Can you imagine the pahala will be continuous? So that's how the FIP is all about. Allah say here, read and also write. So when I say here, it's not an easy task. Everybody have the first challenge. Me and Many Farida have gone through like 7 years to again read and read. And until now, we only know only one part. Even the other area, we see the knowledge of Allah is like a sea, right? A lot. So by doing this FYP, this is your start. So at least in your FYP topic, try to understand. Try to really understand what you are doing to do, and try to do the best inside your report. You can't do it last minute, and try to do it earlier, and communicate with supervisor. Don't go away from your supervisor. Supervisor is there to help you to try to understand what is your problem and where you stuck, especially for FIP2 later. If everyone is still okay, because you are going to extract the information from the paper, right? So please communicate with the supervisor and create this FIP. It's not about having a renew back your intention. When you know more, then you are going to see the miracle of the knowledge of Allah, and try to be more grateful on whatever we have. Okay, so and I conclude. Again, this is a difficult. I know everybody is struggle with all the midterms. This is your final year. You have another 1 semester to go at least. Always remember this hadith. Allah makes the way to Jannah easy, especially in this last 10th of Ramadan, right? All the dua is very mustajab. Always, I'm saying to you, I'm also saying to myself that we all need to make a lot of prayer that Allah will make it easy for you to write your FIP. And this is hopefully each sentence that you write will give you pahala, insyaAllah. As long as you renew intention, don't make FIP like a force for you that, oh, I not really like this title, but I'm being forced to write, and then you just dump up whatever, then just put it here and there without really want to know what is actually this is all about. That's why I say strengthen your nawaitu, and at least spend some time, 1 hour a day at least, for your FIP, because we don't have any class. We only have like briefing. FIP is independent. You are the one who mold your FIP, whether you want. The aim is to get the knowledge, right? But you are the one who mold it, whether you are going to score it or not, with the nawaitu to get the knowledge because of Allah. Okay, if you don't give if not istiqamah, it's like until the week 14 then you're going to start. It's not the correct way. You can't excel it. It's a day by day work. Okay, so with that, if no more question, so we will have our next briefing, how to have a good presentation. So stay tuned on the Telegram. And if you have any question, let me know. And for your chapter 2, last message, please communicate with supervisor. Improve your chapter 2 report. We actually observe your chapter 2 report. Some of you didn't follow the guidelines. Some of you have a very high turning in. I know that time you have a lot of meters, but this is the time where you're going to improve, because examiner will look in a different perspective. Supervisor still can help. Remember, examiner just now is 40%, so try to improve again your chapter 2. Okay, so Madam Farida, anything?
No, thank you, Khalifa. Just one reminder, those who not yet signed the attendance, please sign the attendance. I already resend in the link in our Zoom chat, so please sign the attendance for today. Please be reminded your attendance is apa we call that is being recorded, okay, and it will reflect in your marks also.
Yeah,
Attendance.
attendance is important. Okay, and all the submission on time is also important. So some penalty will be given if you submit it late. So please really aware on the deadline, and if at the end need to be revised, we can discuss. Okay. So with that, we will finish our session with Surah Wal As and Tasbih Kifarah. Assalamualaikum kelas.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Okay.